Rahubat Moisar, and welcome to another live reading. Our scroll for today will be the Master Secret Series number 4, and it's a two-part scroll. So the first part we'll read together is Why No Hope from Above, and then we will read Judgment Upon the Adamites. Before we get started, we're going to do some breathing exercises. We're going to chant for each other and acknowledge our Master Teacher, who brings us all together as the Zeti, or our nucleus, as we're setting our whole record straight. All right. So before we get started, let's just all stand, do some breathing exercises. Please get the breath book and read it. All right. So let's stand together or sit, and you're going to do a few deep breaths. All right. So remember in your diaphragm, I like this dress because this dress, it sits just where the diaphragm muscle is, and it looks very similar to this. So when we breathe in, that diaphragm actually goes down and it expands the intercostal muscles, which goes on the side of our body. And that's where all of our expansion is happening. So when we expand downward, we can expand out and up. And then we hold the breath. And then we breathe it out. So the diaphragm muscle goes down. When we exhale, when we inhale, that's Mooney. When we inhale, when we exhale, it relaxes to come back up. All right. So I feel like when we could visualize what our body is doing, we feel more in tune with it. All right. So let's do some exercises. We're going to do just a little stretching. I did have a chance to stretch before. Aptapa taruk, laye ravuk, emyanun. Aptapa babab, laye hoof, laye hoof. All right. I'm saying who with the breath. Open the breath of life to the soul. Open the way to the breath of life to the soul of Yanun. Open the breath of life or the soul of Yanun. That's Rawuk. To the soul of Yanun. Open the door towards him. Ashuk is the lock. And our Ashuk is the key. And our hearts is the lock. Ashuk is the key. Which key are you holding? And it's our hearts. That's the lock. So that's what this breath is about for me. So when I inhale, I'm expanding and out. One of the most spiritual things that we can do is to keep our physical bodies healthy. So I'm moving all my joints with my breath. Ato pa taru Laerawuk, Emyanun, Atapababad Layehu, Abdul Kalau Taporat, Rufakor, Bisamus Papaut. Begin all prayers and thinking by using the all expanding. Your breath itself is the all expanding. Did you know that breathing itself is a prayer? And when we inhale, we tap into the wisdom of Panatharu, the healing, the Ashuk. And we will exhale, we exhale the same Ashuk healing and wisdom to our brothers and sisters. That itself is a prayer. You're going to think I'm going to down Sabab, Sabab, get the solid of earth. Take a deep breath in and exhale on the bow, bow to Sabab, Sabab. And as you stand up, you acknowledge Anadad Sabab. You are Sabab. You tap into Sabab consciousness. And you're going to acknowledge all the movements of matter, time, space, and matter, the relationship between celestial bodies. You're going to notice the rising and the setting, all the movements of Anun Ray, Atun Ray, and Amun Ray, the solid, all right, and the appearances of life. And the one constant is change. You yourself is constantly changing, all right? So the one constant is change. So we are more graceful as we accept our attraction and our repulsion. That's pretty much the movements of life. As you see, many sons are born. Every second, sons are dying every second. It's the cycle of life. Tawatak Sabab for all the support. Free yourself. Let go of your hang-ups, your prejudices, your likes and your dislikes. You accept life as it is because you've accepted yourself. And as we become more accepting of ourselves, we become more graceful with the movements of life. Now we're going to do our nerve revitalizing breath, the 3 breaths that Bible said to do every day. Nerve revitalizing breath, cleansing breath, and our vocal breath. Nerve revitalizing, you hear the word revitalization, vitality. You're bringing vitality back to your nervous system, which is the seat of the emotions. That's your emotional body, the gateway between the spiritual and the physical world, all right? And your seat of willpower. So you're becoming more in tune with making better decisions because your very heart needs your nerve force to process the scroll, to process thoughts. That's all nerve force as your different neurons communicate. And then you are yourself a neuron, your brother, sister's a neuron. That's interpersonal communication as well. That's nerve force, your sense and sensibility. And then we're going to, of course, do our cleansing breath that goes after every exercise and our vocal breath because we're taking our story back. We're not going to be tone deaf. Sometimes we're communicating a message and we're lost in translation because we're tone deaf. It's on the wrong tone. You're rubbing your brother or sister the wrong way. All right. You got to get back on the right frequency. The tone, the vocal breath helps to round our voices out to be more pleasant. All right. And then also being respectful. All right. To look again many times over. So communication is very important. All right. As we learn about the vibration. So let's do these exercises together, starting with the nerve revitalizing breath. So I felt like a pendulum swinging back and forth, and it's settling down in the middle. And I just feel happier now. All right. So now we're going to do the vocal breath. And after every exercise, you're going to give yourself a moment before and after you ease into exercise, you ease out. Because that's where all the movements is happening. It's still happening after you finish the exercise. The process is still going on. So, vocal breath. Ha! All right. All these beautiful exercises, everything I'm sharing, I got it from Baba, and I applied it to my everyday life. So everything I'm sharing, it's a privilege for me to share it as we put our stories back together. And I encourage all of us to step up in your own way. What's your function in the collective body of our Ashuk? In this divine circle of healing, we welcome Baba Yanu into the center. And as we chant for Baba, we acknowledge Baba, our living and breathing, flesh and blood like us, from us, for us, sent by us, to us. That means that we're acknowledging ourselves. And if I acknowledge myself, I'm acknowledging you. And I affirm that I am in the divine love of the all expanding, and all divine love is in me. Baror, 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 nabab natar muktad, nahutz muktad badet patah, nahutz muklas badet yanun. No God except Patah, no Savior except Yanun. So now when you breathe in, and you're wearing your miptah, and your third eye, and you have your nose, the root word of miptah is patah. Patah is again to breathe. You can tap in through your physical body into the etherical world through your breath. Nahut mukad badet patah. Nahut muklas badet yanun. Hatakud. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashok M Pa Pawut. Wu kalala shaka wunja wefniya. Anuki kasamun empapahut. Wu papahut kawun kasamun emniya. Anuki wahu ame papahut. Wu papahut kawun wahu ame niya. Nakuk kado naja ame kasam papahut. Wu kabu ame muskas Nakuk kado kawan kalau pafif nakuk ayo jawif papahut. Ame wase ame ayani kawun lake bako jawif papahut. Anuki abed biye nafashni. Papahut kawun anuki. Papahut kado nakuk kado. Papahut amul nakuk amul. I am one as the all expanding, and the all expanding is one as me. I can succeed as part of the all expanding and fail as an individual person. I can be all that I wish in the all expanding as long as my wish is to stay in the all expanding. The all expanding is I am. This chant is to acknowledge that I am them and they are me. This is for them from us. Accept us. We are you all's children. Accept us. Accept us. Our overseers. O loving ray, accept us. Lahehum manehnun antum ate karebhum. Antum ate karekum. Antum ate karenun. Antum ate jewefniya. Antum ate niyawu anukihu. Ya ye ashukreye. Ashmo jayenu. Ya ye nataru aufuknu. Nahun ater mukarukum. Ya ye nataru aufuknu. 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 Ya ye natarunu. Anu. Atu. Atu. Amu. They are me, and I am them. Our overseers, who are they? They are the very forces of nature. Oh, hear us, listen to us. Nataru, we are you, and you are us. Our overseers, Nataru no. Yaye muftaru, yaye nataru. Yaye atung reye, yaye natar. Yaye nun, yaye natar. Yaye nun tat, yaye natar tat. Yaye ha, yaye natar. Ya ye hatat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye kak ya ye na tar. Ya ye kaktat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye amun ya ye na tar. Ya ye amun tat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye mufkamia ya ye na taru. Ya ye atum ya ye na tar. Ya ye shashash ya ye na tar. Ya ye tafaf na tat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye sabab ya ye na tar. Ya ye nutat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye ashastat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye asar ya ye na tar. Ya ye nabaptat hatat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye satak ya ye na tar. Ya ye harar ya ye na tar. Nataru shalil ha maye. Ya ye hatwi ya ye na tar. Ya ye anatat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye aha haratwi ya ye na tar. Nataru shalil ha nawal. Ya ye nafartum ya ye na tar. Ya ye mantu ya ye na tar. Ya ye bapti ya ye na tar. Ya ye sakamtat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye hatat haratat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye ba'ah ibis ya ye na tar. Ya ye patah ya ye na tar. Ya ye basastat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye em hatat ya ye na tar. Nadaru shalil ha Hawaii. Ya ye hu ya ye na tar. Ya ye matat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye mahart ya ye na tartat. Ya ye khafaf reye ya ye na tar. Ya ye maskanant ya ye na tartat. Ya ye reye tat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye kanti manti u ya ye na tar. Ya ye hika ya ye na tartat. Ya ye na tatat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye ma'at ya ye na tartat. Ya ye renantat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye shaitat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye sashat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye maftat ya ye na tartat. Nadaru shalil ha matah. Ya ye sabak ya ye na tar. Ya ye anak ya ye na tar. Ya ye kanun ya ye na tar. Ya ye khanas ya ye na tar. Ya ye patanun ya ye na tar. Ya ye soye ya ye na tar. Ya ye hatat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye amas ya ye na tar. Ya ye saratwi ya ye na tar. Ya ye atun reye ya ye na tartat. Ya ye dahutwi ya ye na tar. Ya ye patawarat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye sarakatat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye ha ya ye na tar. Ya ye nahab ka'ah ya ye na tar. Ya ye sakar ya ye na tar. Ya ye ba'ah ya ye na tar. Ya ye akar ya ye na tar. Ya ye em haratat ya ye na tartat. Ya ye wa pa wa tat ya ye na tat. Ya ye shakat hatat tat ya ye na tat. Ya ye maritat sakartat ya ye na tat. Ya ye so ye tat ya ye na tat. Ya ye karatat ya ye na tat. Ya ye asat inu ya ye na tat. Ya ye bahatat ya ye na tat. Ya ye kanam tat ya ye na tat. Ya ye manak tat ya ye na tat. Ya ye kamam ya ye na tat. Ya ye mahatwi ya ye na tat. Ya ye kabasanan afaf ya ye na tat. Ya ye da'ah matat afaf ya ye na tat. Ya ye maritat ya ye na tat. Ya ye nasat ya ye na tat. Ya ye datat ya ye na tat. Ya ye nakak batat ya ye na tat. Ya ye sakatat ya ye na tat. Ya ye anaktat ya ye na tat. Ya ye dadar ya ye na tat. Ya ye tamun ya ye na tat. Ya ye wahu ya ye na tat. Ya ye yasas ya ye na tat. Ya ye anak ya ye na tat. Ya ye afaf nuit ya ye na tat. Ya ye satat ya ye na tat. Ya ye sakatwi ya ye na tat. Ya ye emmaat ya ye na tat. Ya ye nanah ya ye na tat. Ya ye nuit ya ye na tat. Ya ye satak ya ye na tat. Ya ye mukdatat ya ye na tat. Ya ye rahas shafaf ya ye na tat. Ya ye maratwi ya ye na tat. Ya ye amun reye ya ye na tat. Nahu nate kalaja with pau. Oh, force of creative will. We are all inside all. We acknowledge you, Nataru Num, and we activate you in our lives. And as we have our health, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, our spiritual health, we know that Nataru Num is active in our lives. And we call out to you. Tawakum Nataru. And we call out to our sacred triad, Hu, Sia, and Hika. Hu, Saye, Hika, force of creative will. Our clear vision, the more clear we can see it, the more we can manifest it. And Hika, supernatural strength to give us the will to see it through and acknowledge the process of nature. Hu, Sia, and Hika, our supreme ones. Tapalo Wahu, Yayemafauku. Give us the solutions to solve our own problems. Mafauku. Yayehu, Yayehu, Yaye Nataru. Yaye Soye, Yaye Soye, Yaye Nataru. Yaye Hika, Yaye Nataru. Ansku mater pa mufaku. Yayehu, Yayehu, Yaye Nataru. Ansku mater pa mufaku. Huna ter mukarukum. Ansku mater moisanu. Yaye Nataru. Akfush muklas nuna tumreye. Yaye Nataru. Release our Savior, Atum Reye. Release him. Oh, prayer too. Goddess, ancient ones, the ones who grew with natural nature from the waters of noon. Goddess, for you all who birthed our ancestors and our families, for who fashioned the soul, for whom were spirits, from who are ether, for who were flesh and blood, and in many states. Our overseers, our ancient ones. Release our Redeemer. He who is sent from you, Natharu. Release him. Release us. Because where the hearts and mind goes, the body follows. And as we chant for our teacher, we are really chanting for ourselves. Tapalor atu, kafush anhu. Yaye muktamu afuznun. Anskum mane yake ladura muslafunun. Wumusarnun. Mane yake sawura paba'a. Mane yake kawura kahu. Mane yake afer akak. Mane yake kawuna bashaguramam. Yaye nataru muktamunun. Afus muftalun. Anu kawun munzal maneh panataru. Afus anu. Anu kawun bah yanun. Afus anu. Anu kawun atum reye. Afus anu. Anu kawun kafus. Our overseers, natural nature, our ancestors. Guard us, O good ancestors, the ones who are from natural nature. Guard us from the wicked ones who has infiltrated our very genetics, our very soul, the very hearts, minds, bodies of the people. Guard us, O Natharu, our good ancestors. Guard us from the wicked ones. Guard us from becoming changed. Guard me, guard us. O Nataru Nun. Yaye Nataru Muslafunun. Afuznun maneh pa mudradu. Afuznun maneh gahalan. Yaye Nataru afuznun. Maneh sayor gayora. Afuznun. Afuznia. Afuznun. Afuznia. Yaye Natarunun. All of my chants and all of my prayers are for a certainty to Panadaru, natural nature. I seek your protection, oh, by way of natural nature. Protect me from the cursed Dragonians, to protect me from the Tananu, who has infiltrated the hearts, minds, souls, bodies of the people, our very organization, our very organs, our very bodies. Protect us. Nakuk taluk tak moy biye panataru. Maneh pala in la witananu. Kalarenamani atilahe panataru. Wukalata poloratni atilahe kayariatum laye panataru. Oh, overseers, thank you for not forgetting us. We accept you as we ask for your acceptance. We accept our master teacher. And we thank you for the scroll that we're going to read today, because we know that it was sent down as a guidance and a healing, sent down to us, your children, for us to remember who we are once again. And we accept this healing. We accept that this book is the truth and the way. Panen mispa kaun, pasawabu pataruk, ze kawuna na zulala he amtkun. Mane maspat wu masaa, ama hadea mumuda maun. Mane musafukum, unataru. Arjula ye nafashukum. Aufukshane kaunkum. Pasawabu pataruk. Pahadeamu padama. Nahun tawuanskum. Lahe panendama ushafe. Nahum tawuanskum. Lahetem nasoinu. Nahum tawuanskum. Lahe ashakuma. Anskum ater muslafunu. Nahun ater mukrarukum. Nahun salub nasar kuma. Nahun salub nasar kuma. Ansanun kahena taru. Ansanun musafunu. Nahun ater muspatu. Anun atun, atun, amun. We are Sabians. Taukum nataru, wu muntaru. For not forgetting us. Tawatak Babi Anu, living and breathing, flesh and blood like us. A living example, because anything that Baba has asked us to do, he has already done, as an example of Ashuk. And Tawakum to us, Moisad, and our Muslafu, as we are doing our very best to transform into the very best versions of ourselves in our one collective body. Tawakum to us all, to us all. And this is our scroll for today. Take time to look at the cover. All right. And then notice our lahaj. You can see in our seal, there's a message in that. Take time to look at it on your own. A little bit about the author. Hanabab Yanun, the master teacher, His Excellency Malachi Z. Kabina York Okran. Master teacher. All right. This is the teacher of your teachers. Born Tuesday, June 26, 1945 AD in Ghana, Africa. Still living today. And notice Baba tapping in to natural nature. All right. So let's read together. Now, feel free, everyone, to unmute at any time and participate actively if you're sparked to share something. The master secrets. Laish naut nasar munan fawij. Why no help from above? 1. My beloved children of Wunuwa, animism, let me tell you why so many people namuz pray, ranum chants, and call out to above and get no help. 2. The first thing to overstand is when one calls out in prayer or chanting, it is sound, tazuz vibration, and that is frequency, wavelength, and sound is lawanat, colors. Colors. 3. Everybody's body vibrates, and each Salalu race's body vibrates, as you have in the Nagaru Salil Negro race 9 species, and from DNA to 9 sabakats, hues of skin color. 4. From 9 to the blackest, to DNA to the lightest of the Negro race, and this is determined by what is called pigment, from Latin pigere. Pigere means to paint or color. 5. Pigmentation is your coloration in your skin's tissue. 6. And the coloring is determined by the movement, motion, in fact, the speed of your pigments. 7. The faster the movement, the darker the skin color. All right. Skin is one of my specialties. So I love skin. I deal with skin. I get paid to deal with skin. I'm a skin person. And you have your melanocytes. All right. Your melanocytes kind of look like this. Tell me if I'm blurry, because last time I was blurry. Your melanocytes kind of look like this, for example. And then they start to fire off. And these dots here is pigment. And from what they say that, for example, as long as you're not albino, that most people in general, from the lightest people to the darkest people, have about almost similar the amount of melanocytes. But the darker people are, they have more activity in the melanocytes, and they don't really know why. Like, why is this? There's more energy output. So the melanocytes get more stimulated, and there's more frequency. So frequency, more frequent output, and more energy in that melanocyte production. So that's just something to think about. And then that frequency is going to give off its own vibration or own rhythm. All right. And its own color, its own sound, its own look. All right. And then you have something called a chromatic. It looks like this. It's a circle. And then you have, let's just put C here on the top, because you could go around the chromatic. You could buy that at a what is it called? A music store. And it goes around, and then it could tell you what note that you're on, because you have different scales. And in one scale you have C to C. And then you're going to another round of another octave. But the octave just keeps repeating in a spiral. And guess what? The color chromatic is still called a chromatic, because you have the color wheel. The color wheel looks exactly like the sound wheel. So the sound and color wheel looks exactly the same. But for example, you'll have here, you could put purple. Let's just say we put purple on the top, and it'll go around. You go through all the spectrum of color, and then you'll end up back in purple. So you'll spiral around and around, just like sound. So these are sound and colors is interchangeable. All right. And then also remember on the chemical wheel, what do you call that? The elemental charts. The elemental chart. 24. The 24th element is chromium. All right. And then 24 hours, we're dealing with the clock of time and destiny. Time, space, matter. All right. So it's just something to think about. So now you know how color is produced in the skin from the melanocytes. You know that frequency, how fast the output, how slow the output, and the pattern of the output. All right. So pigmentation is your coloration in your skin's tissue. 6. And the coloring is determined by the movement, motion, in fact, the speed of your pigments. Because you have these pigments, these dots, and it actually stains the top of your skin. It stains the different layers of your skin. That's why you could scratch off when you get to like a white layer. So you have these pigments that actually releases into the layers of the skin. So when you have a lot of pigments in there, you have a lot more concentration of pigments. All right. So this 8. Movement and move takes strength or nashat's energy. It takes strength and energy because this takes energy. Your body has to produce this. And there's more energy. The other one is too slow. So it's lighter. All right. Then you get burned. 9. And this is what the 9th month of birth, the newborn baby, is at the lightest hue or shade of color until it grows stronger and becomes darker. All right. A lot of us, most of us, we're a little bit lighter when we come out the womb. And then the genetics activate. Our hair is a little straighter, typically, when we come out the womb. And even some of my Caucasian friends, they were born, some of them were born with blue eyes and blonde hair until their genetics also activate and they get color in their hair. So a lot of like white children with darker hair, it's common for them to be born blonde. Same thing for, because their genetics is at the weakest stage and then it will get to its potential. So for us, when we're born, we're at the weakest stage. We might have a little bit lighter skin. The hair is a little bit straighter, depending on what's going on in our genetics, and it activates. So that's something to think about. So 10, their farar fur will change, as well as into wabar hair, as their genes become stronger as they grow. 11, even as well as kakas mawatsu, Caucasian babies, can be born with yellow fur and blue eyes, and as they grow or age, will change color from safur yellow to samur brown and zarek blue until ramen or ramer gray to even hazel brown. This is all the results of pigmentation in their genetic rules. All right. So I knew friends like that. And their baby pictures, they're blonde, blue-eyed. And they have dark, actually very dark hair. One of my friends, he had very dark hair and dark eyes. All right, when his genetics got activated. 12. So in actual fact, your skin, lawan, color is dictated from your yakasat's genes, from your outformational ancestors into your information present being. Your outformation ancestors into your information present being. I need a visual. All right. So your outformation ancestors, you could tap that, turn it back in, and then when it's pinpoint in a specific space and time, which will be you, so turn these arrows inside out. Everything that led up to you being you now. All right. And that's your presentation. All right. And you're carrying all the information and vibrations from everything that led up to that rule of that genetic rule. 13. And Nuwapians, this is determined by the power, speed, motion, vibration, frequency, and strength of your pigments. 14. So each race vibrates on their own frequency and by their inner energies get them outer skin, lawan color, and or hue depending on the strength of their ancestors' DNA, their chromosomes. 15. The fastest or strongest is the pure Kamem Salal. That's the black race. And the slowest or the weakest is the unpure Laben Salal, white race. And to each their own in between. All right. So when you look at the world around you, most of the planet, as Bobby says, falls somewhere in the middle. All right. Most of us, especially in the Western Hemisphere. All right. So you have the strongest with the pure seed, you have the weakest from that unpure seed, then you have everybody in between. All right. 18. It is all communicated to you by your Salalu ancestors, the living spirits of your own, who vibrates as you from the spiritual abode, your own Yasar family, spirits back to Pa Nataru, the overseers. All right. So as you go further back, that's why we say from those who grew our families. We chant to Panadaru from natural nature. But within natural nature, there's still rules because everybody's playing their part in that circle where they fall in that chromium or that chromatic. All right. So think of a circle and different beings sitting around that circle. They're going to give off a different vibration, a different frequency. And if you are supposed to vibrate a certain way and you're in the wrong station, you're not going to hear the vibration. I was going to explain all that. So it's all communicated to you by your Salalu ancestors, the living spirits of your own, who vibrate as you from the spiritual abode, your own Yasar family spirits, back to Panadal with the overseers. 19. Even the Quran of the Arab or mixed people of the Chaldean man named Ibrahim from Abraham and the African woman they call Hagar from Hajar, who birthed the very first Arab, son they called Ismail or Ishmael, the first Arab, the first Nubian, dark skinned yet with curly hair. All right. So I remember Bob was saying that originally we were Nubians, and then through the mixtures we became Nubians. And Baba says technically we're Nubians because things happen to the genetics, right? Most of us have some mingling somewhere on that scale. All right, so the mixed people of Chaldean from Ibrahim, that's the Chaldean, and then from the African Hagar, and then they birthed their first Arab son they called Ishmael, the very first Arab, the first Nubian. All right. So 20, his father Abram or Abraham, as a Persian of Chaldea, Abram.
I'm sorry. Oh no, I'm just gonna slide it out the way.
His father Abram or Abraham, as a Persian of Chaldea, Abram or Ubram by name, was dark-skinned, yet with thin, straight fur, not nappy wabar hair. All right, so he was dark-skinned. He had straight hair. All right, that's a different genetic code. All right, then Ishmael's mother Hagar, as an African of Makmat, Egypt, was dark-skinned with kinky, nappy, and woolly hair. So the Arabians' own warner and prophet called Mustafa Muhammad al-Amin from Ahmed ben Allah received their book Quran, and it says in the Quran 35:28, and among people and moving creatures and grazing livestock are various colors similarly. Only those fear Allah from among his servants who have knowledge. Indeed, Allah is exalted in might and forgiven. See, that's from the Siha International Translation. So that people were portioned out in creation in different lawanats colors. 23. So each Salau race of people have a certain number of species within it. 24. Nagaru Negroids have 9 hues and species. The Javadu Indians have 7 hues and species. The Magalu Asians have 3 hues and species. And the Caucasoids, they have 6 hues and species. So each has to dial in on just the right and exact station, or right speed, vibration, frequency, or voice as your Yasar family in the spirit to power world, called family spirits or familiar spirits. A little side note, Baba said that we doing all this chanting and it's not working. So what does that say? So Baba has actually told us to stop chanting together, spend more time chanting by ourselves, because we're throwing each other off. So he has given so much guidance on how to chant, why to chant like that. All right. And a lot of us are still struggling with our tones. We're struggling with our egos. We're struggling with so much. And other entities are interfering with the chants in actuality. If you're just reading what the scroll is saying. All right. Or we're not getting the clear messages. All right. Because the chant's the wrong station. All right. So each is to dial in on just the right and exact station, or right speed, vibration, frequency, voice as your Yasar family in the spirits of power world, called familiar spirits or familial spirits. Familial as in Oba or Ababa or Abba, Awa as well, Ab. So that's from the Hebrew Strong's number 178. Necromancer. Nec Roman Sir, and the Jewish woman who spoke Yiddish, a combination of German Polish. French created the Ouija board of the German Ja or Ja, which just means yes. And the French word for we means yes. All right, so Ouija or Ouija, that means yes, yes. 26. So the reason you see people the world over suffering and dying with no help from above or below, outside of them, is mind linked to inside of them. The mind link. All right. They out of their minds. 27. If they call on or yet namaz pray or ranum chants to a deity, angel, saints, or spirit from another's race vibrational rate or wave, they cannot hear them. All right. They are unfamiliar, not family with them, and not on the right radio frequency to communicate with them, as was the purpose of the Ark of the Covenant mentioned in Exodus chapter 26, verses 10 and 22, which reads, 10. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half of the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half of the height thereof. And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubims, which are upon the ark of the testimony of all things which I will give thee in commandments unto the children of Israel. All right. Didn't say the children of the entire world, it said to the children of Israel, for example. So that's their own station. As found in the Christian's New Testament's book in John verses 1, chapter 1. In the beginning was the word, Logos or Logos. Logos means word. 29. So their Habaru Hebrews and Kakasu Christians call on their very own familiar spirits, Tayafat, ghosts of their own dead race. So their Jawawu Jews pray and chant. The Christians pray and use hymns. The Muslims pray and chant. It's all related. Hormones, harmony. Haror, Horus. Har means far away. Harmony. All right. Think of the word har and think of the word resonance. When you become on the same resonance, all right, you can vibrate. Anybody who's into music instruments, when they're tuning up their instruments, sometimes they're tuning something. They didn't touch the what is it called? The instrument that's all the way across the room. Sometimes the instrument would just start vibrating on its own. The drum might start to vibrate because they hit the right tone and they'll hear it. So, and other musical instruments, they can tell you. So now when you're on the right frequency, you open the right hormones. As Baba said in the AEO, a little secret is that the secrets are secreted, secretions. It's about hormones. All right. So you open certain hormones. And hormones are nothing, it's not just for arousal, it's arousing certain messages. All right. So when you want to eat, for example, that's a hormone. Communicate and go eat. When you get in fight or flight, that's another hormone. All right. When you feel like cuddling, that's another hormone. So all these different hormones are the messages. All right. So your own ancestors, they speak through your own hormones. All right. Even for you to be able to go get you go in the sun, you get a little darker, that's hormones because your body has to get that information to communicate, okay, produce more melanin. All right. Now, if you're getting the wrong tone, you're not going to respond because you're on the wrong resonance. All right. So now Baba has connected all that for us so we could see everything and be spookified. All right. So it is all related. Baba says hormone, harmony, Horus, hara. Har means far away. Hormone is from the Greek horm. Horm means impulse. Impulse. A substance formed in some organ of the katat's body to carry to another part. Moods harmonic. So the emotional you is affected by sound or masak, music. All right. So when you hear the word impulse, so when even through your own nerve, your nervous system, when the nerves are communicating with each other, they call those impulses. It's an impulse. So the nerve will send a message from the other and it jumps from cell to cell. That's called the impulse. All right. And that's happening through vibration, sound, music. 35. Harmony is from Greek horm or homos, a fitting, an arrangement of parts in color, size, the sound of two or more tones together in a chord mind links. So Baba explained what harmony is. Harmony is when two or more tones come together that creates a chord. So a chord is also called harmony. And when you get on the right accord, right? Baba said you got to be on one accord. And then he said, for us, our secret is the A chord. So we are on the A chord. One accord. Our tone wavelength A. All right. Our tone is wavelength A in this human body. All right. So harmony is from the Greek horm, a fitting, hormos, or a fitting. An arrangement of parts in colors, size, the sound of two or more tones coming together in accord, mind links. 36. So the Jews and Europe created what they call a a dibber or dibik or dabar, a box to communicate with their own familiar spirit. 37. Written inside the box, you will notice the word shalom under Hebrew Strong's number 7965. Shalom means safe, secure, and peace, friendly. 38. And they have many witches among them. In Exodus 22:18, Deuteronomy 18:10. And the Muslims and Arabs use the same word, shalom or salam, in Arabic, as safe, secure peace for their own familiar spirits. They call malakat, or the angelic beings, and they greet too while in their salat, pray on each side to keep them safe. So they greet too while in their salat to keep them safe. 40. The same used by the Jews in their the book or the book box, or the Christians logos, by words prayer. 41. So they greet each other with be secure or safe, yet translated as peace be with you. All right, so if you want the actual transliteration of what it's literally saying to be secure or safe. But they translate in English to mean be peace be with you. 42. A form of protection and help from and by the angelic forces of Wawed, good, and Dawal, evil, angels, seraphim, cherubim, that attack them while awoke and sleep and abuse them. 43. So they call on their own Salafu ancestors, familiar spirits, for help by words of prayer and chanting. 44. And because their body vibrate on the same frequency, because of their skin hue caused by pigmentation, motion, and devotion by way of emotions that can affect the various tissue of plants, animals, and humans. 45. If you're not in tune with your own Salafu ancestors, they cannot hear or help you. You're on the wrong station, and this starts while in your mother's Raham, womb. What affects her physically and mentally affects the unborn Qarad, child after birth. 46. You commune by way your immune system, given back to you by your other when she breastfeeds you. The immunity is in the mammary glands, or mammary, mother of gods. All right, mammary. So Baba is telling you that mammary also goes into memory. Mammary, the breast. All right, paradise is at the feet of one's other or their mother. So if an Asian becomes a Buddhist and chants, prays, fasts for or to Buddha, a man who was born an Indian by Salah race and Yakasat's genes, he can't hear or help a person not of his own race, species, or hue when calls on him. All right. So Buddha, even though we have a lot of Asians today, Orientals, who are into Buddha, Buddhism started with the Indians. So it doesn't suit the Asians by race like it does the Hindu, like not the Hindus, but the Indians. All right. Because it started with that family. 49. Such in the case of most, such as the Dalai Lama, the high priest of Lamism. He could not protect all the Asian Buddhists from the Chinese who killed and took over and destroyed by Tibet. 50. The monks had no defense against the Chinese invaders. Why? Because Buddha was Ladud born an Indian in India in the year 563 to 483 BC, the founder of Buddhism. 52. So being the Asians who accepted and chanted to Buddha were not Indian by natural nature, they were not in tune with him, and he could not help them. They were abused, killed, their temples destroyed, and the Dalai Lama had to hide and run from Tibet. 53, the same for the Europeans and Spanish Jews who are not Chaldean. So also they got no hope when Hitler sent out to destroy them. 54, the same for the European Christians who are not Nazarites or Judahites as Yeshua or Jesus. So they get no hope. From the Crusades, the Crusade times in Palestine, Jerusalem, they were killed, abused by the people of Sakha land and other Muslims. 55, the same for Nagaru Negroids world over who accept any and all other religions, languages of other races or subraces, not of our own African or Tanyats, animism, our own culture, Wunuwa. All right. If somebody likes to unmute, and then you can tell me in your own words what animism is. Actually, I'll ask in the end. All right, we'll ask that. So 55, the same from Nagaru Negroids world over who accept any and all other religions, languages of other races or subraces, not of our own African or Tanyats, animism, our own culture, Wunuwa. 56, Negroid converts or born and become unnatural in our own nature, becoming Hebrew Israelites, Black Jews, Falasha, Coptic, and Christian denominations of all kinds, Muslims of Islamism, and all sects of all kinds. 57, Namuz, praying and calling on unfamiliar or unfamily spirits, being as a deity by name in Hebrew, Greek, Latin, or Arabic, cannot hear them because of the black person's own skin color. 58, the speed of pigmentation, the hue of the skin color, race, and DNA. 59, the physical body, the music instrument of tone, sound, vibration, frequency, their own nine ether. So your body itself is a musical instrument. All right. And it's time that we tune up our instrument. 60, the speed in which their ka spirit vibrates, they can only be heard and helped if answered by their own Salafu ancestors of their own race from the spiritual realm. All right. Spiritual realm. Let's just take a moment to define what spirit is. Spirit is nothing more than a different density. You have the physical, which is a more solid form. You have the spiritual. So today, I'm standing here or sitting in front of everyone with my own customization of my own program, genetic program, which accounts for the way I look, the way I think, my personality, everything. It's accounted for, and it was passed down to me, all right, through the spiritual realm or through my ancestors. So I have the very same codes that they had, all right, just in a different density. So when we explain spiritual, we're just talking about something lighter than the hydrogen molecule. If I'm on the wrong pattern, all right, let's just say this is my pattern and this is someone else's pattern. This is somebody else's pattern and that's my pattern. In the spiritual world, it's going to have the same pattern. But if I'm tuning in on this one and my body's all wrong, I'm not going to tap into really either of them. All right. Or these forces are not for this body. All right. So the resonance is off. 61. So they prayed. So let's go back. 60. The speed in which their ka spirit vibrates, they can only be heard and helped if answered by their own Salafu ancestors of their own race from the spiritual realm. 61. So they prayed, yet the slave masters, be they European, Arab, or Portuguese, each and all who enslaved, killed, raped, hung, castrated, abused, and still do this to this day. 62. Why no help from above? Because Nagado Negroids call on unfamiliar spirits of other cultures or religions or way of life other than their own. 63. So Nagado Negroids receive no help and ask, why me and why my family? 64. Unfamiliar spirits they call out to can't hear them, and that is why. 65. The Jews pray for wealth and a homeland, and their Al Shaddai of Elohim gave it to them. The Arabs prayed to wealth, and their Allah, Arab, their Lord of Allahats gods gave it to them. The Euro Americans prayed for wealth, and a New England, America, and their Jesus Christ gave it to them. Even the Native American Indians started having powwows, gatherings of their tribes, prayed for the Sakut land to be returned and wealth, and their great grandfathers and mothers are giving it to them. All right, that's happening right now. It's happening throughout the United States. There's a lot of things that's going in favor. If you keep up on the politics with the Native Americans, and Baba said that's because they were having a revival of their own culture, having their powwows again, and it started to be favorable to them. So the same for the Mugalu, the Mongoloids Asians, and the same from the Mudravu Indians, the East Indians. And now it is happy. It's supposed to say happening. It says happy. And now it is happening in Africa for us Africans. All right. Why is that? Because there's a global consciousness. People are going back to each its own. All right. So they'll be powered by their own forces of nature. All right. And I remember like maybe 10 years ago, I was watching this program, and it was like these Asians, because they were finding that their children, Asian Americans, that their children were losing their culture, not speaking their language anymore. So they ended up, it was Chinese. They had a Chinese revival, and they made it a point to create a community center for their Chinese children to get back into their culture, to speak their language again. And then they were going around to all the children and asking them how they felt. And they were saying, I feel proud to be Chinese. So you see that favorable things are happening to people who are turning to their own spiritual systems, because they're going back to a language that's in tune with them. All right. So now it is it's happening in Africa for Africans too. For example, West Africa, especially Ghana, that's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And a lot of them are returning back to their own traditions. It's happening. So 73, yet the Negro in the world over under the unfamiliar spirits are getting nothing except death, marat, disease, and abuse from all others. 74, and still reject who and what they are by natural nature, Africans of animism. 75, until they return to their own, us, their family Africans, they will remain abused and poor, and few sell their morals or Baha souls to the Laben Salal white race to get in music, cinema, strip, and get a little wealth and fame. All right, and it's not even lasting, because you see the things that we're doing. You see the music industry is falling down in front of us, and we're seeing what's happening to many of us. We're struggling because of all the infiltrations in our genetics, that we're really resistant to accepting this doctrine because of what happened to our genetics. We have other family members. That's why we're chanting for protection by way of our positive ancestors against our negative ancestors. But a lot of us, one thing I noticed is that Baba told us to live our culture. He said we don't listen. And So then he said, go get the vaccine. A lot of us ran to get that vaccine. A lot of us didn't run to live our culture. All right. So I did note that. Like we made a big drive. Get that vaccine, get that vaccine. But how many times did you hear live that culture, live that culture? I didn't really hear that. All right. I'm starting to, and I'm happy about that. All right. 76. Yet there is no connection to their own Salafu ancestors. It means nothing except show. All right. That's another thing Baba said. He came amongst us. I got to read 75 and 76 again. One thing that Baba has said, he had come amongst us as Yanun to just watch us. And he said that he didn't like what we saw. He said we just he called us a bunch of niggas that we just want to be seen. We just want to be on stage and teach to be important. But he said we don't really want to live the culture. He looked at the way we were dressed, what we really wanted, and it's just to be important. All right. That was his feedback. That's what made me say, let me start chanting better. All right. But that was actual feedback and an update that Baba had given. And he just wanted to just let us be. But um yeah, but he's still here. So let's read that again. 75. Until they return to their own self, us, their family Africans, they will remain abused and poor. A few sell their morals, or Bahu, souls to the Laben Salau white race to get in music, cinema, strip, and get a little wealth and fame. Yet there is no connection to their own Salafu ancestors. It means nothing except show. 77. They receive no hope, still being abused, killed, while the white race, the Adamu, or the Adamites, the Kananu, the Canaanites, the Shayatu, the Shethites, the Anashu, the Enosites, and the Kanu, Canaanites, who pray to all their Wakanu, Wiccan, Celtic deities, demons of their race, found in their own versions of the Bibles. All right. Another key thing to notice, as Trump, for example, Baba said that Trump is the trumpet. Um, but look what he's wanting to do to bring back the Christian values into schools to get people to pray again. All right. Why? Because he sees that the forces are leaving them. So he wants to empower their race again. All right. That's for them. That's for them. So they could take the country back. All right. Take their power back. So it seems like to each their own, they're returning, except for some of us, we don't want to return. 79, all the Arabs in their versions of the Quran, and the Europeans, Caucasoids, and the Arabians work together while Muslims, converts are being killed. 81, speaking Arabic, praying in Arabic does not make one an Arab. The vibrational tone will never be the same. All right. Just because there's a Negroid or whoever else, you go learn and speak Arabic. All right. You become a Muslim. That would never make you the same because you're on the wrong tone anyway. And it's not going to work for you. All right. Like it works for the Arab. 82. Look at Mr. Sadat, a Nubian of the Makmat, Egypt, or Mr. Saddam of Iraq, or Mr. Gaddafi of an Italian with roots of Libya, or Mr. Nimrari, an African of Sudan, and the list goes on with all the Muslim countries, yet they are not Arabians. All right. So look at the Muslim countries with leaders who are not Arabic. It doesn't work for them like it works for the Muslim nations who are actually Arabic. All right. So you have Baba says that Gaddafi wasn't really Arabic. He has Italian roots. So it didn't work for him as Gaddafi. Gaddafi died, right? You have um, Mr. Nimrari. He's African, all right? He's Muslim, but he's African. It doesn't work for him in his country, not like Saudi Arabia, all right? 84. They get no help from the Arab god Allah. They only get death. Their minds destroyed in battles. Why does this not happen in Arabia? Because the Arabians who receive their book, the Quran, in their own tribal Lahaj language and dialect of Arabic are being heard by Allah, not others, only them. Look how they live. 86. Then look at Muslims in other parts of Arabia and how bad they live. All right, they being in tune with the wrong family. 87. The Euro-Americans say what I was able to get done in Genesis 11:5-6, and it reads, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. 6. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Like back then, what I was building and planning for our race Nuwapians, and why he locked me up and took the land Tamaray. The evil Tamahu means living filth, saw by way of our tones and rituals, we were growing, not using his beliefs, not using his laws, not using his rituals or religions. So he stopped us, the power of Wunuwap, animism of Africans world over under Wunuwap. 89. Yet he had his own minions, black devils, inside with us, who worked with them to stop the building of New Atlantis, Tamaray, also called Wahani. 90. I learned you can wake the mentally sleep, yet not the mentally dead, who has the white man's mentality to live by him and for his. 91. And of him, slave of mental death, deaf, dumb, and blind. 92. They wander back to their slave masters, they wander back to their masters, Hasmuni, to fill and perish with the Adamu Salah, the Adamite race. All right. So a lot of us don't want the land. We didn't want that. We didn't want the culture. Baba came back amongst us, right, to see us and reported back on what he saw. And he said that we still don't want the culture. When he comes amongst us, he sees us dressed like niggas, living like niggas, and having the same problems that the Adamite race has. All right. For example, another thing Baba said, at our gatherings, we should have sweet potatoes. I don't know how many gatherings I came where we had sweet potatoes, but we had really bad food. That's not good for you. The people don't look healthy. They don't smell good. Some of them do, but most part. It's like, we really are comfortable, in the state that we're in. And a lot of us are dying from bad health. All right. So 92, that's what I saw too. So 92, they wander back to their masters to fill and perish with the Adamu Salal, Adamite race. 93, so speaking Arabic does not help you. Speaking Hebrew will not help you. And speaking English will not help you. 94, it's all about the body tone. 95, the Quran of the Arabians was sent to one of them, who was Ahmad ben Abd Allah, and he was born 570 and died in 632 AD, for his own race of Arabs. Only they were on frequencies of the Arab ancestors from Ishmael, son of Abraham, and Hagar. 96. So they have no protection, no one heard or hears them cry, as the Hebrews, Israelites, Nazarites, They called on their own family spirits. They can be found in their Bible, many places found. That's supposed to say found. Hasmuni. Sometimes the scrolls might have a typo. All right. So they can be found in their Bible, many places. Leviticus chapter 19, verses 31, Leviticus chapter 20, verses 6, and Leviticus 27. In Deuteronomy 18, verses 11. In 1 Samuel's chapter 28, verses 3 and 7, 8, and 9. And 2 Kings chapter 21, verses 6, 2 Kings chapter 23, verses 24, 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verses 13, 2 Chronicles chapter 33, verses 6, Isaiah chapter 8, verses 19, chapter 19, verse 3, and chapter 29, verses 4. 97. So they called on their family spirits to raise the dead of their race. For other things, some rejected and lost the battle, some accepted and won Nuapians, Nagaru Negroids. You must relearn to reach out to your Yasar family spirits, our own Nasabu relatives and ancestors by Damam blood, Yakasat's genes, DNA, who vibrate on our own frequency, linked to our own Lahaj language, Nuapic, as Nuapians, to tune in on the radio in our own Akal mind, Katat's body, and Akak and Ka spirit. Until then, you will get no help from above. All right. So you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now it's time to unmute. Baba said, until then, you will get no help from above. Until what? Who would like to unmute? Until what? Oh, I thought I unmuted the chat. I see your hand up, Zamaltat. Let me see why. One moment. Let's see. Can you try talking now, Zamaltat? I think that I didn't change my setting. That's why.
Rahbat. Can you
Rahul
hear?
back, Zamaltat, Nana.
Sure. Rahbat. I would say until we come together as one. Uh, wait, what was the question? You said until what?
It
There.
says, until then, you will get no help from above.
Okay. I would say until we come together in love and unity as one. Um, being one mind, one soul, one body, one
Okay, one,
family.
all right, family, that's a key word. So one around what? Because we could come together because we were together and Bobby didn't like what he saw when we were together. So what was off?
Our thoughts.
It was our tones. So he said in a statement right before, you must relearn to reach out to your Yasar family spirits, your own Nasabu relatives and ancestors by Damam blood, your Khasat's genes, DNA, who vibrate on our own frequency linked to our own Lahaj language. As Nuapians, to tune in on the radio, our Akal mind, Khatat's body, and spirit. Until then, you will receive no hope from above. Yes. So coming together, that's good. And love based around what? So if we're coming together, not chanting on the right tones, not practicing our language, all that, it's not enough to just come together. It's enough to come together in our own tones. Yes. Anybody else wants to comment? I think that I have this on some type of weird setting. Rahul Bazamal, I see you're unmuted.
Rob is the Montaigne. Yeah, my mute button wasn't working for some reason.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
I said, Rob, that my unmute button wasn't working for some reason. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you sound a little off to me. I don't know if it's me.
Do I sound robotic like the last
No,
time?
no, you sound good.
I sound better?
Yes, Tor.
Okay, yeah, my mute button wasn't on mute for some reason. Um, this reading that we just went over, which is why no help from above is very good with doing introspecting on all races, all Slavu and places in space and time. It really shows that because every race has a certain vibration, which gives off a certain frequency, and that frequency is your own personal station, which links you in with for a certain extraterrestrials or beings above who have now been called angels in biblical format that links into you. So you have helpers like your own galactic family that are there for you, and it shows this. And because we shift the station, well, how about this? Let's explain station first. So when we say radio station, we're talking about a frequency that's moving through space and time in the universe that you're able to communicate with one person or one specific group of people with another specific group of people without wires linking you directly to them. Kind of like back in the days, you should attach a wire to a cup and then they just hold the other cup so we can actually hear one another speak. But we're able to do that just through the right link, the right frequency, the right accord and vibration. So when we are constantly exposed to that which is unnatural to our vibration, that actually throws us off the station to where we are going to receive the help that we need. Just like you said, Hala Dalai Lama, they didn't get any help because they was praying to a deity that was for the Hindus, and so he ended up having to run. And then you have many natives, and I could attest to that. Me being in Arizona, there's many natives that are taking their land back. They are, and so until we actually get on what was the word he used, this of the right accord, the proper accord, then we will always continue to not get the help we need. We have to accept what is ours to actually flourish, to actually grow and get on the same wavelength or the same mental frequency too. Because every time we think a thought, it shifts us to a different station of spiritual beings, as well as communication with certain extraterrestrial beings as well. And it's throwing us off from our own natural tone. We're constantly exposed to TVs and shows and video games, which has a lot of vibrations in there as well, that is shifting our thoughts from who we are by nature. Then it's going to continue to throw us off from where we are to reside in space and time. Hoping I'm making sense. Because the reading you just went over reminds me of dimensional links and Nabat, the sacred ash, the master secrets. You familiar with that?
Tor.
Yeah. Okay, so for those that's probably not familiar with it, let me see. How do I turn my camera on? Is my camera on?
I don't see a camera. Let me see how you do the camera. Um, Maybe click the screen, and then you're gonna see a button where it says camera.
Yeah, I
Like this
see it.
button.
Then do
Now
I click
press
the
the
part that says share video?
yes.
I clicked it. I don't see anything.
Hmm. Oh, yes. I see you.
Okay, so you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, so right here, this reminds me of this one, which is called Dimensional Links and the Back, the Sacred Ash. What we just read over, speaking in regards to the why no help from above, because this one right here on page, what is it? Page 4, which is actually verse 43 through 46, we're speaking about how you can actually project three-dimensional imagery as they move across space and time. So what Bob is actually explaining is that you will see something. We live in a three-dimensional world, correct? We have a part of our brain which is known as the superior colliculus that actually projects everything that we see in three-dimensional imagery, correct? But when we are actually viewing things in three-dimensional imagery through TV, we're overlooking that this is actually being moved through space and time for us to even get that viewpoint of it. So this is the same when we actually tune in with a radio station. When we shift our thoughts, which is the link to us dimensionally, we are also shifting our whole vibration because what needs to be kept in mind is that our thoughts directly links to our emotional bodies. It directly links to our chemical bodies. Where our thoughts are, our bodies are, our spirit is as well. So we need to actually be ever mindful of where we are linking ourselves mentally because that's actually pushing us and moving us in that vibrational direction where the body, the spirit, and the emotions also follow. So the links that we are looking for in this day and time, the shift that's taking place, is actually happening in the minds of people. So why we don't get no help from above is because we're calling on the wrong forces. So if you're naturally made to tune in to non-etheric vibration frequencies, and you're trying to call on a deity that is Hindu, Buddhist, or Caucasian or Native, is not going to work for you because you're not made for that station. You are made for a different station. And all of us as Negrado beings, we are made for the highest of the highest family, the non-etheric family, the masters of the universe. And we can shift our lives easily by simply uniting on one mental accord on what it is that we want. And as taught inside of the Master Secrets, Pazakat Hayakiyat, the ultimate reality, it'll be like black magic, where it just suddenly just seems like everything just happens out of nowhere. Like making water what appears out of thin air. But water is not appearing out of thin air. It's just having a lack of understanding of how water actually is created. Hydrogen, oxygen. What binds things together on this plane of existence is magnetism. So when I take a hydrogen atom, which is always around us because of the energy coming from the sun, and I take a water atom or oxygen atom, excuse me, which is also around us at all times, and I use magnetism, the right amount of magnetism to bring these two elements together, then I will actually create what they call precipitation, which is actually water. And it'll seem like it's magic, but yet it's not. It's just a higher level of science, just a higher level of spiritual understanding. Is this making sense? What I'm saying?
Sure, sure.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not just moving and just running my mouth. Okay. So we will only get help from above by calling on our ancestors who are always ready to listen to us and calling on our overseers. Because even in our worst state, our parents never abandoned us. Even when they saw us doing things we were supposed to be doing, they still never abandoned us. Even when they saw us mixing with people we shouldn't have, probably doing some indoor gross stuff, they still never abandoned us, which would any loving parent would do. So getting on the right chance, which is so interesting because the same scroll speaks on the chanting as well. It speaks on the chanting. It speaks on having large levels of concentration. But when getting on it, that right frequency, getting on that correct tone, would actually bring into existence the very things that we need. It can happen individually, where you ask your ancestors for what you may want and need within your life, or it can happen on a larger scale with all of us coming together on one accord or a chord. A chord is simply a signal that's moving, electrical current or frequency that's moving through a channel from one point to another. So we will come together on one mental accord on what it is that we are seeking to actually accomplish, not just for us, but also the future generation of our whole race. This scroll, what we just read, Why No Help from Above, is very important for us to all do introspection of all races as well as our own life. So all we really need to do is actually get out there and speak and ask for the assistance that we're looking for so that we can get the changes that we need to seek within our life. So,
Mm. So ahead, Zamal. I like to
mhm.
put what you and Nana said together, Zamal Tatnana, when she said we have to come together. We have to come together on the right accord. And that's where things will happen to us. Because we've been coming around common interests that's really not in our interests. And that's why we're not really getting where we need to be. So when we come together on the right tone, with the right thoughts and the right intentions, um, because I'm going back to where Baba talked about us on 76 and what he has said. He wrote it here, but then he also said in an update, he said, there is no connection to our own Salafu ancestors. It means nothing except show. And a lot of the things that we have been doing, the feedback had Baba had given us, is that we suffer from the be important syndrome. What's the other syndrome he gave us? So many people are being loyal to different aspects. Okay, and it's a lot of factions and spitting because we're still not on the right accord. And or whatever attachments that we have that's really not for our own. So getting back on that right frequency, that right tone, so that when we're coming together on our own in our own spirit force. All right, because we could come together, we get the bodies together, but we're not together on the right spirit force. So that's how I unite those two pieces together. All right. Anybody else like anything else to say about the scroll? It's a simple scroll, but at the same time, it's pretty complex when you just think about. I'll give us a little homework. If we can go around and look at the way different people are living, um, and how it's benefiting them or not benefiting them, who they are. Um, so that's a first task I'll give us. What's happening on the planet for various people, and then finally how we could compute it to our own lives. So if anybody would like to share anything of what they're seeing happen around the planet as far as the various races go, as far as either they're benefiting and moving forward or being stagnant. If anybody like to share anything, feel free to unmute and you could share it now, or we could just think about it and do homework.
Can I be heard?
Yes, Zamaltat. I can hear you. I'm stepping away, but I can definitely hear you.
I just want to say very bad to everybody here. Um, been doing a lot of thinking in these spaces. Um, it's really hard for me to get this out. I don't even know how I ended up here, but for some reason, I don't know. I really had only one parent in my life, was my mother, and I'm really trying to separate the spiritual aspect from my physical being for being here. I don't even know if I'm saying this correctly, but it feels like she got lost to the world. But something in her is helping me. I'm still trying to get it out, but I do feel this is a powerful scroll, and I do appreciate this space.
Tawahat Zamaltat for sharing that. You know, for this goal, I just take the responsibility. One thing I do struggle with And I'm happy to see other, because I see other people in this group that sometimes they they may not struggle with the same things that that we all struggle. We all have our own things that we're overcoming. But I'm very grateful for those of us who are taking the time to learn the language, the Lahaj, um, to chant on the tones, to take your tones back, because it's not just individually for your own benefit. This is for our race. And that's one thing that, as far as the language goes, this is like a call to action. Um, because according to this scroll, we're not really going to see much progress until we are actually speaking our language, according to this
Yes.
scroll. So that is a call to action of why our lives are in such, with all this great information. We have volumes of scrolls, and uh and why are our lives the way that it is. It's because how much of the culture are we actually embodying? It's one thing to know something, it's another thing to actually live and become it. So even for me chanting, I have noticed that that really has helped me in various ways. I've taken control of certain aspects, and I just see so much more greatness that we could be doing and that we are going to be doing. So I just see this scroll as a call to action. That's how I take it. All right.
So, I actually agree as well. This scroll is actually a call to action. It is. And you will actually see other races if you could do a little digging of how they have actually given up other cultures. I should say 63rd culture, which is religion. And for a very long time, people have actually been utilizing this 63rd culture called religion or the moon cycle, also the Bible, to actually try to fuel their lives and as it works for them. But now, looking at many people, even the natives, I mean, the natives are one big faction in the United States of America that have actually gotten back to their original way. And in doing so, they have actually developed their own reservations. They developed their own living system, their own spirituality, their own culture, etc. Because when we look at existence of being successful, we always want to seek successful and being successful as in just a physical thing. But we need to always keep in mind that we need to actually apply all levels of concepts of who we are as being multidimensional beings. You're not just a physical being, but also spiritual. You're also mental. And so we have to remember how we always utilize these three and keep them in unison with one another to actually make the necessary progress within our life. You can't just make decisions just off of emotions because that's not sound right reason. You know, you can't actually just make decisions just off of logic without using feelings, because then I'll also be like a taboo, ignoring your emotional or soulful self of you. You can't actually just base it off of just physical things. I mean, we have to always bear in mind that we are actually existing on multidimensional levels, and those that have actually taken the time to actually go back, or I should say, look into their ancestral way of life, they're getting more help from it. I spoke to some young male and females that was from India, and they think that it's cool to actually be part of the Western way of living.
Mhm.
They think it's cool. They think it's nice. They want to be able to wear the jeans. They want to be able to ride on skateboards. Obviously, some of them want to be hip and want to look like a brother, wearing saggy pants and everything. And I may ask them about their culture, and they say, "Oh, I remember my mother taught me a little bit about it," but they don't know much. Where it's disappointing seeing some of this young generation assimilating themselves to a empire that's falling down right in front of their faces, and they're not going to get the help that they're seeking. Not for them. Every race is born to a certain vibration. Each vibration also has a geometrical shape. It's called the science of cymatics. It also has a number to it. And so we have to link into where we reside. This is how many races that were created from our genes as being original people on this planet. They vibrated at a certain resonancy and frequency and vibration to where they linked in with also particular extraterrestrial forces, which also made them their etheric parents, who they actually called out to, every single one. So I'm seeing the change happening around me, like me personally. I am actually witnessing that, you know, and it's very important that more people within their culture around us or the world around us tie into who we are. And we within this small space right here also remember to ask our ancestors for what we need. If you're going to Patadak, our wavelength A, it's probably my book bag. If you're going to Patadak, our wavelength A, there you go. And it actually speaks about how our ancestors, as an Nagaru, they become elements of nature. So when you call out to them and all, they're still around us. Whether it be the wind, the water, fire, soil, however it may be. But Baba just simply explained that they become the elements of nature. And they're still looking to actually take, as you would say, vengeance on the things that happen to them. And we're seeing it happen around us with the weather. So they will do that on a global scale, and they will also do that in your personal lives as well. And until we stay on that accord, like personally or unified, then we won't actually, or I should say, so we get on that accord, we won't actually get the help that it is that we're seeking. We won't get the change because we all see what's going on with the world around us after Trump became president. There's now millions of people, millions, in less than a week of him becoming president that actually regret him becoming president. Don't believe me, look it up. Millions of people are saying we wish we didn't vote for him. He is actually turning his back on people that it was in the office that helped him get in there. Trump was part of the Confederates, which is just a soft way of saying Ku Klux Klan. And they don't like America. He never did. So he's turning his back on everything. And he's also trying to enforce that push that spirit force again, such as bringing prayer back to school so they can actually feed their spirit forces.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Does anybody have anything to say before we go to part 2 of the scroll? And if you have any thoughts, even if we're reading the other scroll, because we're going to read Judgment upon the Adamites next, we're going to read that right now. Feel free to unmute again. All right. I'm going to end this one and we're going to start recording the next one.